They found her floating in Lake George. Not swimming, not playing, floating, cold, still. She was just 22. Her name? Melina Galanis Frattolin. And this happened in 2025 in New York. You're watching an unbelievable true story, where we only tell real stories. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. Melina had been out that night with friends. Bright lights, music, summer laughter by the water. But when the night ended, she never made it home. Police say she was last seen near the lake. Alone, vulnerable, and then gone. Here's the thing. Most danger don't come from strangers in masks. It comes from people close. 80% of abuse cases involve someone the victim already knows. And most people, they freeze because they've never been trained for that moment. That's why we added a women's self-defense course in the description and first pin comment. It's built by cops and martial arts pros. Shows you how to break free, escape bigger attackers, and stay calm under pressure. No gym, no fluff, just survival you can learn in your living room. Now stay with me, because we're about to break down who Melina trusted, how it all went wrong, and the one detail police uncovered. That changed everything. Let's get into the full story. Melina wasn't some headline. She was real. A daughter, a friend, a dreamer. She grew up in New York, loved music, loved to laugh. People said she had that energy, the kind that made a room feel alive. Her family? Close, tight-knit. She wasn't perfect, but she was loved. And she had plans, big ones. She wanted more than just to survive. She wanted to live. At 22, she was still figuring it all out. School, work, life. But that's the beauty of it, right? Being young, you think you got time. Melina thought she had time too. Lake George. If you've been there, you know it's beautiful. Calm water, green trees, summer nights that feel safe. Families on boats, couples walking by the shore. It looks like the last place something dark could happen. But evil don't care about pretty views. Evil don't take vacations. It was July 2025. Hot day, clear skies. Tourists filled the town. Music played from bars and restaurants by the water. The kind of night where people laugh too loud and forget the time. Melina was there with friends. They hung out near the lake, talking, drinking, dancing. Everything normal, everything fun. But life can flip. One wrong step, one bad choice, and the whole story changes. Melina was last seen near the lake after midnight. Her friends thought she was heading home. They didn't worry. Why would they? She was grown. She knew the area. It felt safe. But safe is a lie sometimes. And that night, it was a trap. Someone saw her. Maybe someone she knew. Maybe a stranger. Police still had questions. But what's clear is Melina didn't make it home. By morning, people walking by the water saw something floating. A shape, a body. It was Melina. Think about that moment. Somebody out for a walk, coffee in their hand, maybe with their dog. And then they see her. Face pale, hair spread out in the water. Her body not moving. Cold waves touching her skin. That's not something you forget. Ever. Police rushed in, taped off the area. People whispered. Tourists took out phones. Locals cried. Because Lake George is supposed to be joy. Boats. Families. Ice cream by the dock. Not death. But now death was right there. Floating in plain sight. Let's go back to Melina again. So you don't forget who she was. She wasn't just a body. She was a girl who loved summer nights. Loved music loud in the car. Loved her mom. Loved laughing at dumb jokes. That's who she was. And that's who was stolen. Now, here's the hard fact. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 women worldwide will face physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. WHO 2021. 1 in 3. That means if you know 3 women, one of them has a story. Maybe she told you. Maybe she never will. Melina became part of that number. And that's what hurts the most. She never should have. Police began piecing it together. Where's she last seen? Who was she with? Was this an accident? Or something worse? At first, people whispered maybe she slipped. Maybe the water pulled her under. But cops don't stop at maybe. They dig. They look for bruises. They check the phone. They talk to friends. Because a young woman doesn't just end up floating in a lake. Not like that. Not with so many questions hanging in the air. Her family broke. Mothers aren't supposed to bury daughters. Fathers aren't supposed to get that call. Brothers and sisters ain't supposed to stand by a casket for someone who was just laughing with them. And the worst part? They wanted answers. They begged for answers. But answers don't come easy. Now here's something people don't like to talk about. When danger hits, most of us freeze. It's not weakness. It's human. Think about it. You walking home, somebody grabs your arm. Do you fight? Do you run? Most people, they freeze. And in those seconds, things can go bad. That's why we added a self-defense course in the description and first pin comment. Not some gym class. Not some movie fight tricks. Real training. Made by police and martial artists. 1 hour that could save your life. For real. Police kept digging. Timeline. Phone records. Witnesses. Friends told them Melina was laughing. Dancing. Living. Then gone. Who was she with? Did someone follow her? Was it planned? Or just the wrong time, wrong place? Cops didn't share all the details right away. They never do. But the town was buzzing. People wanted the truth. Because Lake George, don't forget. Here's the question no one likes to ask. Could have been prevented? If someone walked her home, if she said no to one more drink, if she called instead of walking, would she still be alive? But asking those ifs don't change nothing. It only cuts deeper. Because the truth is, Melina should have been safe. Period. Let me take you deeper. Because what came after the body was found was pain, confusion, and anger. Cops worked that lake hard. They searched the water, checked the shoreline. Every step Melina took that night had to be mapped out. They asked her friends, "What time did you see her last? Was she drunk? Did she leave with anyone?" Her friends told the same thing. She was happy. She was dancing. She was alive. Then she was gone. Let's rewind to the night. It was July. Hot air. Music blasting from bars near the water. People everywhere. Melina was with her group. They drank. They laughed. Took photos. She wore shorts. Summer shirt. Her hair tied loose. Just a regular night. And then, sometime after midnight, she left the group. Maybe to head home. Maybe to meet someone. Nobody knows the full truth. But in that gap, from laughter to silence, something happened. Something deadly. Lake George is small-town vibes with tourist crowds. Folks know each other. News travels fast. So when word spread, young woman found in the lake, the whole town froze. Parents pulled daughters closer. Bars went quiet. People whispered at coffee shops. Because nobody expected this. Not here. Not to her. Who did it? That was the question. Who did it? Police said no sign of robbery. Her phone, her bag, her clothes, all there. So this wasn't about money. This was personal. Or it was power. Control. That sick kind of violence that makes your stomach turn. And the cops knew. Killers often aren't strangers. Most times they're close. Friends. Partners. Neighbors. That's the truth people don't like to hear. Her family went on TV. Tears in their eyes. They begged. Please, if you know something, come forward. Her mother couldn't even finish her sentence. Her father's hand shook. They looked broken. Because how do you stand in front of cameras and talk about your baby found in a lake? You don't practice for that. You don't prepare. You just break. And you keep breaking every day after. Cops pushed the case. They checked security cameras from bars and shops. They followed digital trails, phone pings, texts, social media posts. They wanted a timeline tight enough to squeeze. Because somebody out there knew the truth. And the truth leaves footprints. Of course, the town had its own version. People whispered. She was meeting someone. She had a fight. She went for a late swim. But whispers ain't facts. Whispers hurt families. Whispers make a tragedy worse. Still, every small town has them. And Lake George was buzzing. Here's something harsh. When someone dies, the body talks. Not with words. With marks. Bruises. Cuts. Water in the lungs. The time of death. The coroner had to speak for Melina. Her body held the secrets she couldn't tell. Police leaned heavy on that report. Because it separates accident from murder. And in Melina's case, the signs leaned toward foul play. Now I gotta stop here and tell you something straight. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 men and 1 in 3 women in the U.S. will face violence from a partner in their lifetime, CDC 2022. That's not some faraway story. That's real. That's now. And Melina? She got caught in that ugly number. Her friends broke too. They replayed the night in their heads. Every laugh, every step, every goodbye. They asked themselves, should we have walked her home? Should we have stayed longer? Did we miss a sign? And that guilt? It eats you alive, even if it wasn't your fault. Meanwhile, whoever did it stayed quiet. No confession, no slip-up, just silence. Walking around town like nothing happened. Maybe eating breakfast at the same diner. Maybe smiling at strangers. That's the part that chills you. The idea that the monster looks normal, acts normal, blends in. And this is why I tell you, we added a self-defense course in the description and pinned comment. Made by real cops, real trainers. It's not hype, it's survival. Because when that moment comes, the grab, the shove, the fight, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your training. And most people, they got none. That's the truth. Back at the lake, folks kept leaving flowers, candles by the water, photos of Melina with smiles so bright it hurt to look at them. But the lake stayed still, like it swallowed the truth, like it was hiding something deep under. People looked out at that water different now, not as a playground, but as a grave. Weeks later, police started connecting dots. Cameras, texts, witnesses who finally spoke. They saw movement near the docks. They saw Melina walking with someone. A man, not a stranger, someone familiar. And that's when the case cracked open. The cops knocked on doors. They pulled suspects in. Questions sharp as knives. Where were you? Who were you with? Why were you seen near the lake? And one man? He cracked. Not all at once, but piece by piece. His story didn't line up. His alibi was weak. And soon, police had him in cuffs. The town gasped. Because the suspect wasn't some shadow. Wasn't a stranger in the night. It was someone people knew. Somebody who smiled at them. Somebody who walked those same streets every day. That's the part that breaks you. Because you realize danger don't always come from the dark. Sometimes it comes from the familiar. The arrest hit like thunder. People didn't see it coming. The man in cuffs? He wasn't some ghost hiding in the woods. He was right there all along. Police said his name, and the whole town froze. Because folks knew him. They saw him at the gas station. They saw him grabbing coffee. Some even waved at him the night before. And that's what made it sick. He looked normal, walked normal, but behind closed doors, darkness. The investigation tightens. Cops laid it out. He was with Melina that night. Cameras caught them near the lake. His phone pinged near the same spot where she was found. The timeline snapped together. He tried to say, she wanted to be there. She went into the water herself. But the coroner's report killed that lie. Bruises, marks on her arms, signs she fought, signs she struggled. This wasn't an accident. This was force. Her family heard the news. They cried. They screamed. Her mom said, I trusted him. He was around us. He smiled at us. That broke me. Because that's the cruel part. It wasn't just losing her. It was realizing she was hurt by someone close. And you never get over that. You never look at people the same again. The court begins. The case went to court. The town packed the room. Reporters filled the benches. Her family sat front row. Eyes red, hearts heavy. The suspect walked in wearing a suit. Clean cut, like he thought he could fool the world. But truth don't wash off. And the jury could see it. Prosecutors stood up. They showed the timeline. They showed the texts. They showed the bruises. They showed the camera stills of him walking with her. They told the jury, this was not an accident. This was not love. This was violence. He took her life. The room was silent. Every word cut like a blade. His lawyer tried. Said Melina had been drinking. Said maybe she slipped. Said maybe it was a mistake. But mistakes don't leave bruises. Mistakes don't choke the air out of someone. And the jury knew. The verdict. Days turned to weeks. The trial dragged on. Her family sat through every detail. Every photo. Every word. Until finally, the jury came back. 12 people holding the weight of justice. They said, guilty. The room exploded. Her family sobbed. Some clapped. Some just sat numb. The suspect? He looked down. Cold. No tears. No sorry. Because monsters don't feel sorry. The judge looked at him and said, you took a young woman's life. You left a family in pain. You turned a town upside down. You will spend the rest of your life behind bars. And just like that, he was gone. Shackled. Led away. No more smiles in the street. No more coffee in diners. Just a cage. But listen, prison doesn't heal families. Prison doesn't bring her back. Her mother still cries at night. Her father still stares at empty chairs. Her friends still scroll through old texts, wishing for one more reply. That's the real sentence. The one that never ends. Here's the truth. Most violence comes from people we know, not strangers, not shadows, but people we let into our homes. That's what makes it dangerous. That's what makes it hard to see. And Melina? She trusted someone who didn't deserve it. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 3 women in the U.S. will face abuse by someone they know in CAD 2023. 1 in 3. That's not just numbers. That's lives. That's faces. That's Melina. That's why we linked a free self-defense course in the description and pinned comment. Made by police. Made by martial artists. Simple. Real. 1 hour that could save you. No gym. No fluff. Just survival. Because when danger comes, it won't wait. The families fight. Her family didn't stop at the trial. They spoke out. They pushed for more safety around Lake George. Better lights near the water. More cameras. Programs for young women. Because they didn't want another family to go through this. Not ever again. And me? I keep thinking about Melina. Her laugh. Her summer nights. Her plans. All cut short. All stolen. And I think about her family. Living with a hole that never closes. Trying to find light in a world that feels darker now. The cops came in fast. They shut down the road. Nobody could leave. Nobody could get in. Blue and red lights bouncing off the trees. It looked like the woods were on fire, but it was just police. People came out their cabins. Old couples. Families on vacation. Everybody whispering. Did you hear what happened? You could feel the fear spread like smoke. The news trucks rolled in next. Big cameras, long mics shoved in people's faces. They wanted answers. But the truth was nobody had any yet. The cops put up that yellow tape. That tape means somebody's baby is gone. And tonight, it was Melina. Her family showed up. Her mom. Her dad. You don't ever want to see parents walk into a crime scene. Their steps heavy like they was walking through mud. Her mama cried out, "That's my baby." And the sound. Man, that sound cut through the air sharper than any knife. Everybody froze. Even the cops dropped their heads. Because pain like that, you can't block it. You can't act tough. It crawls inside your chest and makes your own heart ache. Police had to sit them down. Tell them the words no parent wants. We found your daughter. That's all it takes. For words. Your whole world gone. Now the detectives got to work. They needed to know. Who saw her last? Where did she go? Did she know the person who did this? They started walking the beach. Flashlights sweeping across the sand. Looking for a clue. A footprint. A tire mark. Anything. But here's the thing about crime near water. Evidence washes away. The lake don't care about justice. The waves eat it up. Still, they found some things. An empty cup. A set of keys. Shoes left behind. They bag it all up. But what they needed most was answers. So they went back to the bar. Back to the last place Melina was seen alive. The bartender remembered her. Yeah, she came in. Bright girl, smiling. She left after midnight. Detectives leaned in. Who was she with? He shrugged. I saw her talking to a man. Tall, dark jacket. But it was busy. I didn't see much else. That was enough to start. They pulled the cameras. Bars got cameras everywhere now. The grainy footage showed her. Melina, clear as day, laughing, talking, walking out the door. And right behind her, that man. Tall, dark jacket, shadow on his face. Detectives knew. That's their lead. Back at the station, they spread the photos out on the table. Her smiling face next to the shadow man. Everybody quiet. They all felt the same thing. Time was running. And if this man was still out there, he could do it again. Word spread through town. Women locking doors. Fathers walking their daughters to the car. Tourists thinking about cutting their trips short. The fear was heavy. And that's when police went public. They called a press conference. Big podium. Reporters flashing lights. The chief stepped up and said, "We are investigating the murder of Melina Galanis Frattolin. If you have any information, come forward." The name hung in the air. Her name. Not just another victim. Not just another case. Her name. People started calling in tips. Some real. Some nonsense. That's how it goes. Every town got folks who just want attention. But one call stood out. A woman said she saw Melina get into a car that night. She gave the color. She gave a make. And it matched the shadow man's description. Detectives ran it fast. They tracked down the owner. Brought him in. He sat there in the room, arms crossed. Cold. Yeah, I saw her. But I didn't do nothing. Detectives leaned forward. You were the last one seen with her. You left the bar after her. You were at the lake. He smirked. I got nothing to say. That smirk. That's the kind of thing that makes you want to flip the whole table. But detectives, they held steady. Because anger don't solve cases. Evidence does. Now let me pause. Because I gotta say something. In America, cases like this happen too much. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 2021, about 1 in 5 murders of women are by strangers. That's scary. That means women minding their business, living their lives, can still get caught in the dark side of the world. So the cops knew they had to move fast. They checked his car. They checked his clothes. They checked his phone. And when they pulled his cell records, it lit up. The pings put him right at the lake. The same time Melina disappeared. Boom. That was the crack in his story. But see, the case wasn't over. Because in small towns like this, everybody talks. Rumors fly. And sometimes, the truth gets buried under all the noise. So detectives kept digging, kept pulling. They needed to find the thing that couldn't be argued. DNA. They rushed the samples to the lab. Every cop in that room praying it came back solid. Because with DNA, you can't laugh it off. You can't smirk your way out. DNA tells the truth even when people lie. While they waited, the town tried to heal. Vigils, candles on the beach, photos of Melina taped to poles, flowers laid out like a soft bed for her memory. Her family stood in the middle of it all, crying, hugging strangers, saying thank you, even though nothing could ever be enough. And through it all, that question stayed heavy in the air. Why her? Why now? Why this way? The truth was still coming. And when it hit, it would shock everybody. The DNA came back. Strong, clear, undeniable. It tied him straight to Melina. No mistake. No maybe. It was him. Detectives walked into that room, dropped the folder on the table. The man leaned back, tried to act cool. But when they slid that paper across, his face changed. The smirk died. His mouth got tight. Because DNA don't lie. You did this, they told him. And for the first time, he had nothing to say. They cuffed him, dragged him out, and the town that had been holding its breath finally exhaled. But arrest ain't the end. It's just the start of the next storm. Because now came the trial. Courtrooms are strange. They feel heavy, like everybody's carrying rocks in their chest. On one side, Melina's family. On the other side, the man who took her. And in the middle, the truth. The fight to make sure it never gets buried. Prosecutors laid out plain. The footage, the cell records, the DNA. Piece by piece, they built the picture. The defense tried. They said it was coincidence. They said the evidence was weak. But the jury wasn't buying it. Every time Melina's photo came up on that big screen, the room went silent. Her smile, her light, gone. Because of him. When the verdict came, it hit like thunder. Guilty, her family cried. Not because it fixed anything. Nothing can fix losing your child. But because finally there was justice. The judge sentenced him. Life. No chance to do this to another woman. No chance to walk free again. And as the gavel slammed, Melina's name echoed one last time in that courtroom. Her name, not just a victim, a daughter, a friend, a soul that mattered. Now let me tell you this. Her story don't end in that courtroom. It lives on in the people who loved her. It lives on in the women who walk safer because her name was shouted loud. It lives on in the warning. Be careful. Trust your gut. Don't ignore the feeling that something's wrong. If you ever felt unsafe walking alone, you're not crazy. You're right, and you deserve to feel safe. That's why I'll say this. If you can, take a self-defense course. Learn something. Carry something legal that makes you feel stronger. Because 1 second of preparation can save a lifetime of pain. Melina's story is heavy. It hurts, but her life deserves to be remembered with truth, not whispers. She wasn't just the girl at the lake. She was Melina Galanis Frattolin. She had dreams. She had people who loved her, and she should still be here. Now, as I close this story, I'll leave you with this. One case always leads to another, because the world don't stop turning when one tragedy ends. So stay with me, because next time, we're diving into another case. One that will make you question everything you thought you knew.